Christine Connor. I'm the owner of Amelie Scott Designs. And from time to time when I go out and teach, people will ask me, where'd you get that weird name? Why'd you come up with that? How'd you get it? So it's a great story and I love to tell it. So long time ago, there was a little girl named Christine Scott Reeves. It's me, who was born. And you can see she's just like a mess right there, throwing sand in her hair and rubbing it all in. And she was kind of special because she was the first girl born in 5 generations. And the very last girl that was born before her was a princess. So she it was like, woohoo, we had another girl in the family. I guess it took 100 years to have another one because, you know, us Reeves girls, we're quite the handful. Anyway, so Amelie grew up living, the last girl born before me, Amelie grew up living in this house right here. It's a very famous house called Castle Hill. It's in Virginia. And in this house, lots and lots and lots of famous people stayed at that house. In fact, when she was growing up, there were, hold on, I got it right here. These were just a few of the people that stayed in this house. George Washington visited, Jefferson, Madison, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, John Tyler, all-American presidents. They had Dolly Madison visit, Lafayette visited, and her godfather was Robert E. Lee. Yes, General Robert E. Lee. And as she grew up, Amelie loved to write books, loved to write stories. And she would write a lot of short stories and just, you know, spend her time writing short stories. And one day a famous publisher came and visited the house and they said, oh, you should read Amelie's stories. She has great stories. So he read one of her stories and it was pretty darn good. So he published it and she became very popular. People looked forward to reading her short stories. Woo, but then she decided to write a novel and here's where she became famous. Woo, and I'm telling you, hot and famous. She wrote this book called The Quick or the Dead. I have a copy of it, a very old copy of it. And hold on, it's got a picture of her. I love showing her picture. Here's a picture of her. And the premise of this story, this book that she wrote, the reason why it was so very, very famous, was because in the story, the main character, Barbara, lost her husband, but she was still very young, and she was not ready to be without a spouse. But I guess back in those days, you know, you were married for life. You didn't remarry because it would just confuse things up in heaven. So anyway, so her dead husband's brother was visiting one night and he was standing over by the fireplace just looking all hot and hunky, and the main character in this book just couldn't help herself and she just said, oh, kiss me, Jock. Okay, so whoa, a woman asking a guy to kiss her. Anyway, it sold over 100,000 copies like instantly, and she became very well known in the literary circles. In fact, one of her best friends of all time was Oscar Wilde, and she and Oscar Wilde liked to go to all these parties. And so you know, so before we get to the parties that they went to, the first guy she marries. Yeah, she's even a divorcee. It's just so exciting. Okay, so here's the first guy she married. His name is Archie Chandler, and Archie Chandler is like the heir to the Astor fortune. I think they own like all of New York. Anyway, she married him, but you know, he was over here, she was over there. They were always in 2 different countries or, you know, places, so they never really hooked up. So they ended up getting a divorce. It just wasn't working out. So one night, Oscar and Amelie, they go out to this party, and Oscar Wilde sees this guy, a Russian prince named Pierre Trubetskoy, and he tells Amelie, he's like, man, you need to get together with this guy. You need to meet him because you and him, you're the most gorgeous people at this party. So she did hook up with him. She got to know him, and guess what? She got married, and that's how she became a princess. She was Virginia's one and only American princess. And let me show you a picture. Here's a picture of her. This is at the a painting by the Virginia Historical Society. And this is a picture of Pierre. And this is my absolute favorite picture because if any of you have ever seen my husband, the geeky guy, he kind of looks just like him. So it's just so fairy tale-ish, you know, Amelie and her prince and her Prince Charming. And here she is like writing at her desk. Kind of has a sad ending because he died first, and then she just couldn't live without him and just became a recluse and just couldn't take it and ended up dying, you know, in Castle Hill of a lonely, broken heart. But anyway, that's where the company name came from. My middle name is Scott. I gave my daughter the name of a princess, Amelie. So her name is Katie Amelie. She designs, I design. So we took the two middle names and came up with Amelie Scott Designs. And that's where the name came from. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.